Hey, thanks for checking out my channel. Today we're going to solve another Leetcode problem, a medium difficulty problem. This one was annoying, but fun, and allowed me to start my foray into regex, or regex, or rejects, as a fellow Algo Club member calls it. The problem reads, given a string, s, which represents an expression, evaluate this expression and return its value. The integer division should truncate towards 0. Note, you are not allowed to use any built-in function which evaluates strings as mathematical expressions such as eval. We have 3 examples. Example 1, input s equals 3 plus 2 times 2. Output should be 7. Example 2, input s equals 3 divided by 2, where our output should be 1. And example 3, input s equals 3 plus 5 divided by 2. We know we're just going to do some math and that we'll have to take the math given to us in a string and turn it into integers and operators. We'll take a moment to recall our orders of operation from math class. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS. Do you have an Aunt Sally? I have an Aunt Sally. It's weird how many people have an Aunt Sally. Anyway, we already know from the constraints that we can totally ignore the parentheses and the exponents part, the please and the excuse, later. And now we know that this problem is now we know what this problem is really asking. How can we turn this string into math and follow the orders of operation to get the right answer? Enter regex. So regex allows me to do a few cool things. So let's go ahead and get set up. We are going to go ahead and we're going to say, let's calculate is our function. We're going to have an argument of s. First thing that regex is going to let me do is I'm going to use it to find all the white space and replace it with an empty string. So we're going to say s equals s dot replace, and then we're going to say backslash. We're going to find everything that is not, we're going to find everything that is nothing and replace it with an empty string. So we can go ahead and do a quick console log of s, and we'll call this sans white space. I like to add comments in my console logs because I like to use console logs and I don't want to get lost. So we can just do a really quick basic calc 2. First we're going to have to call it because I'm not sitting in my, so we're going to calculate. And we're going to, we'll use the example from example 1, 3 plus 2 times 2, but we're going, I'm just going to console log this, because later we know we're going to need to, and there's no harm in it. Great, so there we go. We get 3 plus 2 times 2 sans white space. Let's add a bunch of white space, and we will still get the same thing. Cool, right? Awesome. So we'll just fix that back to what it was. Perfect. All right. So next thing I want to do is, when we're thinking order of operations, I know that I want to be able to do my multiplication and my division first. So let's find those pairs. And I can, again, use regex to do this. So we're going to declare a variable. This is going to be our multiplication or division pairs. We're going to make it so that it is equal to, we're going to do some grouping. We're going to find any digit. And then we're going to find either division or multiplication. And then we're going to find, again, a digit. And this works because we're only finding a digit that is followed by a multiplication or division, which is then followed by another digit. We're not going to just find like the first digit and then the first multiplication and then the second digit. We're going to find all those things that are next to each other, which is pretty cool. So now that we know what we're looking for, then let's find it in our string. So we're going to assign it. So we're going to call this multiply or divide. And we're going to use dot match. We're going to go into our string, we're going to dot match, and we're just going to use this regex. And let's go ahead and console log that, because console logging is the funnest. We can do both. So we're going to console log first mult div pairs and also multiply or divide. This will show us everything that we find. So again, you think, oh, multiple pairs, maybe I'll get something cool. You just get the regex. That was a trick, just to show you that you actually do have to assign it, or use it to match and then assign it to something. So when we do get it, we get this dot match gives us this really cool array. And it gives us so many useful things. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so we can really take a look-see at it. Oh, we don't want to go too far. It's my practice. So this array gives us so many useful things. At index 0, we see the entire match. So we get this 2 times 2 that we found. Index 1 is what was captured by our first regex, the D+, for any digit, and then our multiplication is what's given to us in our second. So this is 0, 1, 2, this is index 2. This is what was captured by our division or multiplication group, and then index 3 is our next digit, and that is what was given to us by this other regex of any digit. So then after that, index 4 is this index property, and this is giving us the index in S where the whole match started. So we're at index 2, and if we look at S, 3 this is index 0, plus is index 1, and so 2 is index 2. So we know where we're starting inside of S, which is like so cool and so helpful, and I love it. And then index 5 gives us the input. It just shows us the property. The input property is our original string. And then index 6 groups, well, we're just going to ignore that. It is unimportant for this problem, so yeah, we don't need it. It's just given to us. It's a freebie. So we can go back to where we were. So now that we know that we can separate the multiplication and division that we need to, we're going to make some moves towards looping. So since we can do that because we have access to every piece of the math that we need to do. So I'm going to use a while loop, and I'm going to use it because it's really easy to say, like, pass in a truthy value. So while multiply or divide, while that exists, we're going to loop. So I'm going to, outside here, I'm just going to declare some variables. We're going to just let left num, and we're going to let right num. It's because I might use them later, and I might as well. So we're going to use these variables to tend to these pieces that we got from our multiply or divide variable. And while multiply or divide, we're going to move this console log down here just for fun. We are going to get rid of this multidiv pairs because we know it just returns our regex. We're just going to call this math to do. Ta-da! I mean, yeah, whatever. It's fun. All right. So while I was working through this problem, originally the biggest hiccup was trying to figure out how to multiply or divide one pair, and then if necessary multiply or divide that result by the next integer. That's what led to me to splitting the multiplication and division snippets out first. But it also made me realize that I needed to have something to hold that answer that I could then use on the next, or use with the previous sign. So we can just say let operated, and then from here we're going to take sign and we're going to assign it to this amazing little piece of information that we get in our multiplier divide. So we're going to assign our sign to multiplier divide at index 2, which is, so we've got 0 is this guy, 2 is, 0 is 2 times 2, 1 is 2, and index 2 is our sign. So we're going to do sign equals multiplier divide at index 2, and then we're going to say left num equals multiplier divide at index 1, and we're going to say right num equals multiplier divide at index, you guessed it, index 3. So now that we have all that, here's the easy stuff. Let's do the math. So if sign triple equals a asterisk or multiplication, then we will say operated equals left num times right num. We only have one other thing that we can do, so else operated, oh, missed that equals, operated dash doesn't do anything. Operated equals, oh, now here, don't forget, in our instructions, it said that all division will truncate towards 0, so we're gonna go ahead and use math.trunc. We're gonna take our left num and we're gonna divide it by our right num. All right, great. So now, let's see, we can go ahead and console log our operated. And now it's pretty likely that we're going to end up in a loop because we haven't done anything with this, but I just want you to see that the math works. So we will call that, and as you can see, we are just going and going and going, so we're going to break out of that. And great, we know we have a result. Right now we're not doing anything with that result, so we're never changing our loop, so let's go ahead and do that part. So now that I have that, we know we want to take that operated, that result, that 4, and replace that in our original. So instead of 3 plus 2 times 2, we wanted to read 3 plus 4. So how can we do that? We're gonna take our s and we're going to assign it using a replace. So it's, our s is now going to equal s dot replace, and we're going to take our multiply or divide at index 0, which is that 2 times 2, and we are going to replace that with our operator. It's very cool. I freaking love it. Who knew regex could be cool and fun? So after that, so now we've replaced it, so now our problem reads, in this point, 3 plus 4. But I haven't done anything with my multiplier divide. It still exists. So I'm going to take my multiplier divide, I'm going to set my last index to 0. This just kind of resets it, and then from there, I'm going to reassign it. So we're going to take our s, our new s that we just changed 2 lines above on line 25, and we're going to do that same thing. We're going to do s.match mult divide pairs, and I'm going to do a quick console log here of s. We're going to go ahead, we don't need that one right now. So if we console log that, where's my typo? Oh, I wrote operator, not operated. Boom, that was my mistake. Sometimes we write the wrong thing, even when we say the right thing. Cool, so there you can see, when we console log s down here, we get 3 plus 4. And then we have nothing else because we only had this one multiplication, but say we had 3 times 2 times 2 times 2, you can see we would then take our 3 plus 4 times 2, so now we took our beginning 3, we took this, and now our s is 3 plus 4 times 2, so then we would go in and we would do 4 times 2, and then we end up with 3 times 8. So we can keep going as far as we need to, and it all works. So now we have a way, we've written our while loop, we have a way to continue our while loop moving forward. We also have a way to break our while loop, which is assigning that last index. So now, as you can see in this, we're only left with an equation with pluses and minuses. So now we get to do the easy part. This is the easy math. So I'm going to make two arrays. I'm gonna say a nums array, and I'm gonna say an operators array. And I'm gonna use my regex again, so I'm gonna s.match. I'm going to get, again, every digit, but this time it's going to be global. And then my operators array, same thing, s.match. I'm going to just find if it's a minus or if it is a plus. And I'm going to do that globally as well. You can see really quick if we console log our nums array and our operators array. Let's see what we get. Should be a 3, an 8, and a plus. Great. So the nums array will always be one longer than the operator array because that's how math works, and our constraints told us that all of our numbers would be positive. So we're not going to worry about like an extra negative anywhere. So now we're going to do another loop to do our math. And I know that I want to use 2 pointers, so for ease of our lives and so that we don't fall off the end of either array and into undefined territory, instead of setting our total to 0, because we need a total, so we're going to set one, we're going to assign one. So we're going to say let total equal, and we're going to just assign it to parse int. Remember, we're parse inting everything because we need numbers to do math, and everything right now is a string. So we're going to set our total to equal nums array at 0 because we'll start at the very beginning. It's a positive number. It doesn't do anything until we find our first operator in our operators array. So that's perfect. Now, before we go into the loop, we will take care of one if statement, and that is if there is no operator array, that means that our original string that we were given was full of only multiplication and division. So we have already reached our total in that first section where we did our multiplication, division, while loop. So we will just return total and we will be done. Now, if that's not the case, then we are going to go ahead and go into our next loop. I chose a for each loop because I know I'm going to use every single one of my operators. And again, ease of just having an index and 2 pointers and not falling off the end. So in my for each operator is my first argument, and then I'm going to include this I, and that I is there just to count my index, starting at 0 since I didn't tell it to start anywhere else. So then, because I have that existing, then I can take my right num and assign it to be nums array of I plus 1. Right? Cool. So now I have a right number, I have an operator, and I have a total that I started with. So it's, again, time to do the math. So if the operator triple equals a plus sign, then we will take our total, and then we're just going to plus equals our right num. And then otherwise, if we're not adding, then we are subtracting. So we're just going to say total minus equals our, again, right num. Okay, that's going to end that loop. And then what do we have left to do? I don't know, maybe just return a total. Great. Let's see what happens when we run this. You ready? Are you? Boom. We get an 11 because we have 3 times 2 times 2. So we do 2 times 2, that equals 4. So now we've got 3 plus 4 times 2. We do our 4 times 2, that's 3 plus 8. 3 plus 8 is 11. Bada bing, bada boom. And there you have it. How to make a basic calculator that works for positive integers and doesn't account for parentheses or exponents because you don't have any. while ignoring built-in methods that could have solved this in half the time. So anyway, algorithms are fun. Thanks for joining me. I've been really into algorithms lately, and I hope that you're enjoying my solutions. If you do enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time, probably with some more algorithm practice. Bye.